So brainy. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening, everyone. Welcome to Advanced Qualitative Research. For those of you who are not aware, this is DCE6925. I hope you're in the right Zoom. Instead of I hope you're in the right room, I hope you're in the right Zoom. Since our reality now is everything is online, so we might as well use the correct lingo, okay? So nice to see some familiar faces. I see some familiar faces and names, okay? At least for those who have the cameras on. So let's just give just a minute or two just to make sure everyone's in the room before we get started. Just checking out the name list here. Okay. So I recognize several of you from last semester in the DCE69 or EDU 6903 class. Okay, so nice to see all of you. I see Ponrazia. Are you still in Starbucks, Ponrazia?
Yes, bro.
I hope they're not giving you a hard time. So I often do my work in coffee shops. It's a very conducive place to do research work. Okay, so can you all hear me okay? Everything all right? Sound and everything? Videos all right?
Yes, okay. Prof, loud and clear.
Yes, sorry? Prof. Yeah, it's okay. All right.
Yes, Prof.
Okay, Prof.
Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Thank you. All right. So I guess we'll get started. Welcome. So this is the Advanced Qualitative Research class. Let me first start by apologizing. I know there's been a lot of issues with registration and a lot of people tried to get into the course, and I was forced to limit the quota for the course. One of the reasons I do that is because one of the assignments for the course requires everybody in the class to present something 1 week of the semester. So every one of you that's taking the course for credit will have to present 1 week during the semester. I'll explain that later. But and so I have to I can only have a maximum of 33 students taking the class for credit, because otherwise those students won't be able to present their assignments. So if anybody else would like to take the class for audit up until that 40 plus range, that you can. Okay, so audit students, you're not actually going to be required to do the reading presentations, but I'll explain that later. And of course, if students just want to sit in the class for just for knowledge sake and not for credit, they're more than welcome. So we have over 40 because of we have several students that are sitting in, I believe. Okay, so I do apologize for the registration issues. Maybe some of you wanted to take the class for credit, but you couldn't. So again, I apologize. But if you are really still interested and you're here, I would just recommend checking your iGyms regularly, okay? Because often students drop classes and stuff like that. So spots might open up, all right? So just keep an eye on that if you're still interested. So let me just first introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. So I'm Abdul Latif, also known as Stephen Kraus. I am a lecturer in the Faculty of Educational Studies, Department of Continuing Education and Professional Development. So I will be the primary lecturer for the class this semester. Of course, I know several of you from last semester or previous semesters. And I have been a qualitative researcher for, well, I guess going on almost 20 years. This is about, I don't know what this is, maybe my, actually, no, this is probably only my 5th or 6th semester teaching advanced qualitative research. Prior to that, I taught the basic qualitative research class for many years, starting in 2006. And I am an active researcher. So I'm very much involved in qualitative research as well. So both practitioner as well as educator. And I very much enjoy doing qualitative research. So I very much enjoy teaching this class. I enjoy engaging with students in research. It's just something that I really love doing. But I am not only a qualitative researcher. I also do quantitative research and I also do mixed method research. Okay, so and I think it's important that we are familiar at least with all, all the major designs within research. I think it's important to have knowledge of both. Okay, so let me just start by, I'm going to just show the Pucha. I'm going to put up Pucha Blast because everything I'm going to do this semester is going to be based, sorry. It's going to be based on Pucha Blast. Okay, can you see the Pucha Blast screen? Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. All right, so for those of you who are enrolled in the class, please make use of Pucha Blast. I will be putting everything up on Pucha Blast. And I know it's not a perfect system, but I think it's a pretty good one. And of course, just for announcements and quick communications, we'll just use the WhatsApp group. And I hope everyone has gotten into the WhatsApp group. I saw this just now before the class. There's quite a few. It looks like over 40 already in the WhatsApp group. So please join the WhatsApp group if you have not, because I will be posting most of the announcements in the WhatsApp group. All right. In fact, usually even the Zoom links for the class every week, I will put in the WhatsApp group, not on Pucha Blast. Okay. So I think it's just easier. It's quicker just to refer to the WhatsApp group for those kinds of things. Okay. So sometimes I'm kind of late putting the link. Don't worry, I'll remember to do it. Inshallah, I'll remember to do it, but it might be like, just a few hours before the class. So don't worry about that. Don't panic if you don't see the link. Okay. So I am, for those of you who don't know me, I'm originally from the United States, from the US, grew up in the US. I've been living in Malaysia for just about 20 years. So I am officially a Bumi Putih. For those of you Malaysians, who didn't realize, you didn't know maybe that there was such a thing as Bumi Putih, but there is, now there is. So I've been here for so long. So I'm a permanent resident and I've been here a long time. Malaysia is my second home. Okay, so, and I'm also a UPM PhD graduate. Okay, so I did my PhD at UPM. So I have a very good understanding of what you graduate students are going through because I went through the same thing here at UPM. Can you hold on one second, please? Sorry. Sorry, it's always interesting when you're trying to do evening classes at home. A bit interesting. The noises that come from the house can be kind of funny. So where was I? Okay, so that's just a little bit about me. You can, if you'd like more information, you can go to the website to find out more, the faculty website. All right. So here's my contact information. If you need to get in touch with me, you can either WhatsApp or email. Okay. Of course, WhatsApp is easier, but some people like to email. So here's the link for the WhatsApp group. So you can just click on this and you can get the link if you haven't done it yet. Okay. All right. So here's general information about the class. So we will be meeting 6 to 9. However, we will be entering the fasting month next month. Okay. So we have to have a discussion, and negotiation in a little while about how we plan to deal with the fasting month. Okay. And in the past, we've done it differently, but I'll save that for a few minutes. We'll discuss that in a few minutes. All right. But generally speaking, classes will be 6 to 9. Sometimes they will go the full 3 hours. Some classes, some weeks they won't. It depends on that particular class. Usually the way I do my evening classes is we will lecture, or not lecture, we will have class from 6 to 7:30. And then usually we'll take about a 20-minute break for Margaret prayers, and then just a rest, general rest, take a break in there. And then we will continue on until 9 o'clock, or at least close to 9 o'clock. And until further notice, until we go back to campus, we will be using Zoom. Okay, so we will be having Zoom classes. All right. Now it says here I will be posting the meeting links here in Pucha Blast, but I don't think I will. I think I will just put them up on the WhatsApp group. All right, because it's just easier. Okay, so I do encourage you to have your cameras on. I don't require it. Okay, it's not required, but it's just nice to see real faces. You know, when you talk, sometimes you talk to a screen full of blank boxes, and it's just kind of lonely. So I prefer to have people have your cameras on if possible. Okay, but it's not required. Now in this class, since you're all PhD students, I have a certain expectation of you. Okay. Not only are you PhD students, but this is an advanced level class, or at least it's supposed to be. So I do really encourage discussion in this class. I encourage discussion. I encourage you asking questions. I encourage us really discussing the material. This is not going to be a lecture-based class. I will not be lecturing in a traditional sense, all right? The class material will be actually delivered by you guys in the form of weekly reading presentations, all right? And the way it works is each week, a group of you, of 3 of you, will be presenting a reading, and I will show you that those readings in a minute. You will be presenting them, and then I will also be giving commentary as you present. Okay, so the quote unquote lectures are driven by you guys, the students, and assisted by me. All right, and so it's really it's a joint effort. Okay, in terms of delivering the material for that week, for each week. All right. And so the class as a whole is really a discursive learning approach. And this is, I think, the most appropriate for PhD students. All right, PhD students, you need to be engaged in a lot of discussion about your work. So I really not only hope, I expect you to really come to class. If you're having problems with your research, you're having difficulty with certain issues, this is the place to share them. Okay, so each week, the first 15, 20 minutes, sometimes even first half hour of the class, I open up the floor to let students present their questions, problems, anything they're having related to their research. Okay. In fact, I'm trying to help my colleagues, your supervisors, I'm trying to help them by troubleshooting. We have a troubleshooting session here in the class so that there's less work for my colleagues to do in terms of supervising you guys. Okay. So I really cannot encourage that enough, that you will hopefully come to class with questions and problems and so forth. In fact, the way this class was originally designed, it says advanced qualitative research, and it's supposed to be an advanced level course, but it's also supposed to be a course where students who are already in the field, already doing their data collection, it's for them to come back and have, sort of some reflection about what they're doing and really to troubleshoot. That's the way the class was originally designed. All right. So I know that now, as the years go on, things change, and now a lot of students just register for this class, in second or third semester, and they're still doing their proposals. Okay. And I know that's probably most of you guys as well. That's okay. It's fine, but do realize that this is supposed to be an advanced level class. Okay. So we're not going to be rehashing the basics. I'm not going to In this class, I'm not going to explain to you what an in-depth interview is and all that. We did that in the basic level class. So you should have at least a basic understanding of that stuff. Okay. In this class, we begin to deal with the more sort of higher level issues that come about when you do qualitative research. Okay. So don't expect it to be sort of just a rehash of the basic class. It's not. Okay. That's not to say you can't ask questions. Whatever questions you have is fine. Okay. But I do expect a bit of a more intensive type of class in terms of the content. And that's also why I'm very strict about ensuring that students that come into the class have already taken the basic qualitative. In past semesters, I was kind of lenient with that. And we would have a lot of students that they had never took any basic classes, and they would join this class and they'd be really lost, and they would be asking me very basic questions. That's not really the place for this. This is not the place for those kind of questions. Okay, those are the kinds of things that should be dealt with in the basic level class. Okay, so just to kind of explain that to you, I think it's important that you're aware of that. If you cannot attend the class, please let me know ahead of time. So just send me a WhatsApp and tell me that you can't come for whatever reason. That's fine. Just common courtesy, I think. I really, of course, encourage students to prepare for the class each week by reading the articles in advance. Okay, because there's no traditional lecture, your only real there's the actual class content each week is those articles that we're going to be discussing in class. So you will get much more out of the class if you actually read the articles and come to class with questions. Now, I know graduate students nowadays don't read a lot, and it's a big problem. Okay, because you can't really do serious graduate study without reading a lot. So this is your method. This class is your methodology. Okay, this class is your PhD study methodology. If you don't get this right, it's going to affect your entire thesis. Okay, so you really need to understand methodology, right? This is not like an elective class where you can sort of, just kind of get by. And, I was a graduate student too. I used to do those things as well. Especially in elective courses, you just sort of take it easy and so forth. But this is a really serious class because this is what your methodology is all about. So you can't, you're not going to pass your Viva without getting your methodology right. Okay, so it's a really serious class, and so you need to be prepared as much as possible. Okay. We don't have lecture notes. The lecture notes are whatever notes you take during the discussion about the readings. Okay, so in that sense, I'm also testing your, ability to be a good observer, right? Which is one of the qualities of a qualitative researcher. You have to be a very good observer. You have to take detailed observation notes when you do, for example, when you do observation in the field. All right, so it's also helping to train you to do those things. All right, so I don't provide lecture notes. So you come to class, you listen to the presentation and the discussion around the presentation, and you take notes on that presentation. And that's also helping you to become a better observer, a better qualitative researcher. Okay, so it's a sort of two-in-one thing. Yes, there's content being delivered, but it's also training you to be a better qualitative researcher. Okay, so all the classes are going to be recorded and inshallah, and they will be uploaded. I have a YouTube channel and the link is here. Later you can visit if you want. There's nothing there now, it's blank, but each week I will record the lectures and we will upload the videos. So if you need to go back and rewatch, to get the content, whatever, feel free to do that. You can do that at any time because the videos will be up on YouTube. Okay, and so here is the link for the weekly reading sign-up sheet. And in case you're wondering, I did not allow before a couple hours ago, I had left the link inactive because I didn't want people to sign up before the class started. So it is now officially up. So if you'd like, if you just click on the link, it's going to take you to this Google Doc, all right? And you can fill in your name at any of these three slots. So each week there'll be 3 presenters, okay? And but this is not every week because weeks 11 and 12 are missing because we will have special classes those weeks. We won't have reading presentations. Now, this is only for students who are taking the course for credit, okay? And also not for audit. So if you're taking the course as compulsory or elective, you need to sign up. If you're not, if you're only taking it as audit or sit-in, please do not fill in the sheet, okay? Jennifer, are you taking the class for credit as compulsory or elective, or are you taking it as an audit student?
Yeah, Prof, I'm taking it. I was able to register yesterday.
Oh, okay, so you're taking it.
So it's elective.
Okay.
Yeah, elective.
All right, I'm just checking. Just checking.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, so you can go in and sign up for any of these weeks. All right, and we will be starting next week. So for those of you who have week 2, we will be expecting you guys, that group, to present next week. All right, but don't worry. Week 2 students, I'll be extra lenient on week 2 students. Okay, because you have less time to prepare. Okay, it's only the second week of the semester, so I know it's a little bit difficult. Okay, and don't worry about the presentation. And what I mean, don't worry, I mean, do your best job, of course, prepare as best you can. But again, it's sort of a joint presentation. You present, but I also comment on the presentation. In other words, we do it together. And so that way, if there's things you don't understand in the reading, don't panic. Present what's there in the reading and do your best, and I will help explain things. And that's the whole point, is that we do it together, and then I sort of give my commentary as you are presenting. All right, so don't panic, please don't panic. The idea is just to present the content of the article as best you can. Okay, let me go back to Pucha Blast. Oh yeah, so maybe you are okay. So back to Pucha Blast. All right, so that's the reading sign up. So please make sure to click this attendance link every week. Okay, don't forget, click your attendance. That's the way we take attendance on these online Zoom courses. All right, so you can just click on the attendance here and you can sign in. I have an announcements link here. I probably won't use this very much, but just in case there's a really important announcement, I'll put it here. But otherwise, I will use the WhatsApp group for announcements. Okay. So before I get into the course synopsis, are there any questions or comments? Is everything clear so far? Did I go too fast?
Clear, Prof, so far. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay, so let me...
Doctor, today attendance, how I will do today attendance?
Professor?
Did you just ask me about the attendance?
Today attendance.
Yeah, attendance. You have to go into Pucha Blast and then click on this attendance link. Okay, if you click on the attendance link, it will take you here, and then you can just click on it to sign in. This is my Pucha Blast is different than yours. For lectures, it's a bit different than students, so I can't show you. But if you just go into your Pucha Blast and click on that link, this link here, attendance.
We will do now.
Go ahead, you can do it now if you want.
Thank you.
Sure.
Professor?
Yes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, you said that we'll be presenting every week. What are we going to present? Will it be our original work? Because some of us are doing
No.
quantitative.
Hold that thought. We're getting there. Not yet. I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
I'm going to explain that. I'm going to explain in a minute. Yeah. Just hold on.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So okay. Let me share the, okay, so here's the course synopsis. So as you just saw on Pucha Blast, I have uploaded the course synopsis. So you can download this yourselves, okay? I'm just showing you, it's a Word file. So this is in Pucha Blast. There's one folder there for course synopsis. So please reference this. Please go to this whenever you're not sure about something, assignments, whatever, the reading materials, it's all here, okay? I have an extended course synopsis that I make for this class, all right? So here again is the background of the class, my information, blah, blah, blah. Okay, objectives. So at the end of the semester, the objective of the course, the hope is that you will be able to internalize researching qualitatively. Okay, You will be asked to critique qualitative research studies. Okay, so that's one of the assignments you'll see in a minute. We also do quite a bit of data analysis in this class, qualitative data analysis. So we spend about 3 or 4 weeks looking at different issues around qualitative data analysis. And we will also be doing practice in class, inshallah, on doing qualitative data analysis. And also one of your assignments is an analysis assignment as well. So you'll be doing hopefully quite a bit of data analysis, because qualitative data analysis is one of those issues within qualitative research that tend to give a lot of people problems. So we try to spend considerable amount of time on analysis. And then, no, I'm sorry, that's actually not, this should not be here. Yeah, you're not going to be producing a proposal in this class. I don't know how that got in there. You will be critiquing, a PhD research, a qualitative research thesis. You'll be critiquing it, but you will not be producing it. So I need to delete this. I don't know how that got in there. Okay, so this course is designed to deepen your understanding of qualitative research methodology, familiarize you with techniques of analysis, prepare them for presentation and writing of the different correlates of qualitative research. So in this class, we start off the semester, starting in a couple of weeks, we will be talking about the different traditions of qualitative research. So in the basic class, we don't talk too much about the different research traditions within qualitative research, such as case study, grounded theory, phenomenology, etc. But that is one of the things that we do discuss in the first couple of weeks of this class. Okay, so we will be covering that. And then we will be looking at different methodological issues within qualitative research. So again, like I said before, we don't cover the basics. We don't rehash the basics like we do in the basic class. We try to go into more specific issues, okay, within the different, the sort of process. In terms of the class atmosphere, this is meant to be a seminar type class, all right? So each week, so again, like I said, students will present on a different topic, all right? And again, as PhD students at an advanced level class, I really hope and expect that you will be doing your reading before class. And I know that's asking a lot, that a lot of students fail to do that, but I would really encourage you to do that. And also participate actively in the class, okay, as much as possible. We have a big class, but you know, as much as possible, try to participate. And then as we go along, you'll be acquiring different materials based on the different different topics each week. So I have a lot in this class. There's several assignments, short assignments. You know, I do a lot of we do a lot of activities and stuff like that. So you'll be acquiring different materials as we go. All right. Course content. So we will be discussing a little bit next week on research paradigms, the different designs, research designs within qualitative research, and then different methodological issues in data collection or generation, data management, data analysis, rigor and trustworthiness, and then writing and presenting qualitative reports. So those are the major topics that we cover. In terms of requirements, there are several assignments. In fact, there's a total of 6 assignments in this class, okay? So I know everyone is probably not very happy to hear that. There are 6 assignments. 4 of them are short assignments, very small assignments. The other 2 are bigger. And that includes presentation and discussion. Some semesters I'll bring in a guest speaker. Sometimes we won't. Sometimes we'll use that an extra week that we have for doing more data analysis work in class, etc. And there is a final exam. There's only one exam in the class, just a final exam. There's no midterm exam. So I prefer to give you more assignments than exams. So there is a final exam, and it's mostly an essay format, open-ended, but it's also open book format. But it is the only exam, okay? So just the final exam. So evaluation, 7 assignments or 70%. And kind of, question?
Yes, how many marks for final exam?
Yeah, it's right here. Can you see the screen? It says 30%.
Thank you.
Okay, so right here, you can see, again, you can download this. You can download this synopsis from Putra Blast. but the final exam is 30%. Assignments are 70%. Okay. As I mentioned, there's 6 compulsory assignments for the class. All right. There's no midterm. So the first assignment is the reading presentations. Okay. So the group presentations. So in groups of 3, that's going to be 3 because this class is very big this semester. So we have groups of 3. Students will lead the class discussion once. Okay. So one time only for each student. And you're asked to choose a week, of course. And then with your group members, you'll be asked to read and synthesize the assigned article for that week. And then you'll present it to the class. Okay. You'll be given about an hour to present, because usually what it is the first hour to hour and a half of the class is devoted to this reading presentation. And then the second half of the class, we will usually do some sort of activity, exercise, something related to the topic for that week. Okay. So it's usually the first half of the class for that week, you'll be doing your presentation. So in terms of the actual presentation, what I ask you to do is first is just to summarize the article. So you're going to basically read it and digest it and then present it in a concise form. Okay. And then also I ask the presenters at the end to generate 3 or 4 questions about the article that you can use to generate or to sort of lead or whatever, a class discussion. Okay. So as you're reading, identify 3 or 4 questions that the class can discuss at the end of the presentation. All right. So we have the sign up sheet that I showed you before, so you can go ahead and sign up for that assignment. All right. And audit students are exempted from the assignment. So audit students, you do not need to do this. All right. So please do not sign up if you're an audit student. All right. Again, like I mentioned, just basically summarize the article as best you can. You know, you don't have to give a lot of your own opinion so much. I'm not really asking you to critique it so much. I'm asking you more or less to present the material. But to do that, you need to decide, you know, in an article, you're not going to present everything in the article. You have to make decisions about what to present, what's most important, and so forth. So that's really where you have to make decisions. Because you can't just cut and paste the entire text of the article and present that to the class. Okay, so please do not do that. Please, I've had some students in other classes, other semesters, they try to cut and paste the entire article and read it to the class. You're not helping anybody by doing that. I can go ahead and read the article as well. You don't need to read it to me. Okay, so please do not do that. It's okay. You can cut and paste, you know, certain sentences or certain, you know, short paragraphs. You know, that's okay, but try to really summarize it in your own words. If you can, or at least cut and paste the major points. All right. And try not to, and sometimes students, they try to be a little too creative, where they actually, they include content from other articles and they put it in the presentation. You don't have to do that. Okay. Just present the article as assigned. Okay. Because again, these are like lecture notes. All right. So they're sort of, I want it to be presented as is. Okay. So is that clear? Is the reading presentation assignment clear? Are there any questions?
Yes. It's
okay.
Clear.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Prof.
Uh-huh.
We present in PowerPoint or just
yes, it's PowerPoint.
Oral presentation? PowerPoint.
Yeah, PowerPoint. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the other thing about that, Afika, is that I will also take your PowerPoint presentations and I will also upload them to Pujablast as additional references and resources for the rest of the class. Okay, so you'll be providing the PowerPoint slides and then the rest of the class will benefit from those. I will post them up on Pujablast each week. All right.
Prof,
Uh-huh.
I have a question.
Sure.
As for the PowerPoint, do we need to hand in to you a day in advance or no?
Just after
the day
the
itself.
class. Yeah, after the
All
class.
right.
That's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
My name is Chayin. I'd just like to clarify a bit on the presentation, Prof, because I noticed that you have listed like maybe 3 to 5 references per week.
Yeah,
but we'll only present the bolded.
Yeah, I'll explain that when we get there. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that question, but I'll explain it when we get there. Okay, so that's assignment 1. So assignment 2 is due in week 4, and it's basically just a problem statement. Okay, so you're going to write a 1 to 2 page only, and if I see more than 2 pages, I will deduct marks. Okay, because the idea here is for you to be concise. learning how to write a concise problem statement. So you're going to write a 1 to 2 page problem statement and research questions for your PhD thesis. Okay, so whatever you've gotten so far, however far you've gotten on your PhD thesis, you're going to present or write to me, share with me your problem statement and research questions. And it has to be within 1 to 2 pages. All right. So you should be able to summarize the main research problem of your study in 1 page only. Okay, ideally. All right. So that is, for many people, that's a challenge, and it's supposed to be a challenge. Okay, again, this is training. So I'm trying to help you, get you to understand that you can do it. You can do it more concisely. You can do it concisely. A problem statement should not be very long. Okay, and so in week 3 or week 4, I forget which. No, I think it's week 3. Sorry, week 3. I will be showing several examples of how you do that and different ways to do that to help you with this assignment. Now, these weeks, the due date for these weeks, they might change a little bit just based on how fast we go. We may, we may slip, we may get behind a little bit. So I may push the due dates back and stuff like that. So these due dates are, as of right now, they are as they are written, but they might change. Okay. So as of right now, this problem statement is due in week 4, but that might change a little bit. All right. The third assignment is an interview critique. Okay. So up on Pucha Blast in the assignments folder, there's actually 2 sample interviews, all right, videos, okay, videos of qualitative interviews, all right, and there's 2 there, and and what I'm gonna ask you to do for that is I'm gonna ask you to watch the videos and then write a 2 to 3 page critique on which one was better and why, okay? So they're 2 very different interviews, okay? And I want you to sort of critique both and elaborate on which one was better and give some reasons why you think the one is better than the other, all right? And you can see the questions here that I'm asking. You can just refer to this synopsis to get the questions, okay? And so that's assignment 3, and that will be due somewhere around week 6, okay? And then assignment 4 is a positionality statement, okay? Positionality statement. So I'm sure most of you don't know what a positionality statement is yet, and that's okay. We'll get to that, all right? This one is not due until week 8, so don't worry about it for now. But this one will be a 2 to 3 page positionality statement for your PhD thesis, okay? So this is something that you're gonna have to put in your chapter 3 anyway, okay? So, these assignments, I'm trying to also help you with your thesis writing, okay? So, like doing the problem statement and then the positionality statement is something that's also gonna be included in your chapter 3. Okay, so we're going to do it as an assignment, okay, just to sort of get you going with it. It will be done as an assignment, okay? Now, as you see here, it says the positionality statement should include your reasons for conducting your study, your personal history with the topic and participants, assumptions resulting from your past related experience to the study and participants, and how you plan to deal with potential biases. That is essentially what a positionality statement is in qualitative research, all right? And so that's basically what the assignment is, and that's what you're going to include in your 2 to 3 page statement. So I'm gonna, of course, don't worry, in the class, either week 6 or week 7, I will show you examples and we will go through it more carefully. And so by the time you do this assignment, you'll be much more clear about what a positionality statement is, okay? So don't worry, don't panic, okay? You'll be fully aware of what it is by the time we get to that. Okay, so that's those are the 4 short assignments, okay? So they're only 1 to 2 to 3 pages. You can, they're not very long assignments. And like I said, they're also designed to help you with your PhD writing, your thesis writing. Now, the 2 bigger assignments, the first one is the data analysis codebook. So as you can see here, it's not due until the last week of the class, okay, week 14. So as I mentioned, we're gonna be doing a lot of analysis in this class. All right, and in fact, what you're going to do for this assignment is you're going to actually develop a analysis codebook. As it says here, I'm going to provide you with 3 full interview transcripts from a real study in class, okay? And then using these 3 transcripts, you're going to produce a codebook resulting from your analysis of these transcripts, all right? So each of the codebook should contain category names and definitions, subcodes for each category, and example quotes from the interview text to support each of your codes, okay? And we will, of course, go through this in class also. You'll see examples, etc. We're also going to do this exercise in class, okay, together. We're going to be doing some of this, doing this data codebook development, okay, this analysis. Okay, so we're gonna be doing the development of the codebook in class first, right? And then so you get a sense of it, a feel for it, and then you'll do it on your own for the assignment. All right, so that one is 20 points. It's a bigger assignment. Okay, so again, this one's not due to the end of the semester, and we will start on analysis somewhere around week 8 or 9. I have to look. We have to go through. When we go through the content, you'll see. But it's sort of towards the middle, towards the end, between the middle and the end of the semester. Okay, and then finally, the last one, the biggest assignment is evaluation of a qualitative thesis. Okay, so thesis critique. All right, and this is your biggest assignment. It's 30 points. So what you're going to do is you're going to, you will be asked to select a dissertation or a thesis. Okay, in some countries they call it a dissertation, some they call it thesis. A thesis that has been completed in 2010 or later, preferably, okay, for critique. So you're going to critique this thesis, all right? It should solely be a qualitative research thesis, not mixed methods, okay? And it should identify one of the research approaches we will cover in the course. In other words, it should be either a phenomenological study, a case study, grounded theory, or basic interpretive or basic qualitative research design. Okay, and then the dissertation or thesis should have a clear problem of the study, research questions, conceptual framework, and just the basic content of any thesis. These things should all be there. All right, and so this critique will be around 15 pages. This analytical critique review. All right, now I provide a very detailed list of what you will actually be critiquing. Okay, so this should make it easier for you. All right, so here you can follow this outline. All right, so cover page. Okay, so problem and purpose of the study and its significance for research policy and practice. Is there a specificity and clarity of focus and importance for the study? Okay, research questions. Do the questions represent a clear connection to the problem and purpose? What is the explicit or implicit conceptual framework of the study? Is this framework presented in the literature review and in the conclusions? A critique of the literature review, okay, so number of studies cited, comprehensiveness of the review, how connected to each other, etc. Summary of the methodology, critique of the methodology, summary of the findings, critique of the findings, and then study redesign. Describe what you would do differently, all right? So it's important that you comment on both the strengths and weaknesses of the thesis. Okay, so you have to give a critique of both the strengths and weaknesses of the dissertation, all right? So if you say that the methodology was poorly done, okay, what was poorly done about it? You know, or you found that the methodology was hard to follow, it was difficult to read, you know, because of this reason or that reason. Okay, so I want you to give a justification, give reasons for why you are having that reaction to the thesis. All right, so it's a reaction, it's a critique, you know, but you can give your opinion freely about the study. Okay, and so here's the rubric for the critique. Okay, so you see the 30 points is broken down by each of these sections. So, I mean, this is very easy in terms of, you know, to make sure that you're covering everything, just follow this rubric and make sure you have all these sections in the thesis, in the critique, all right, to get the 30 points. And this one is also due at the end of the semester. We will negotiate the date for this one. It can be due after week 14, you know, so around the time of your final exam or something like that. We'll negotiate that later, but it's not due till the end. Okay, now this assignment is important for you because in doing this, this will give you a clear idea of what a good qualitative research thesis looks like and sounds like. And you're going to really pick it apart. You're going to critique it and you're going to pick it apart section by section. So you will be very clear about what a qualitative thesis, a PhD thesis should look like and should sound like and what it should contain in terms of the content. Okay. So pick a good study, pick a study, you know, you can pick any study. If you go to, you know, UPM library database, we have ProQuest dissertations online. There's thousands of PhD theses in that database. So you can go in there and search for one that's closely related to your own topic even, right? And I would highly suggest you do that. Find one that's related to your topic, that's the same design that you're using, you know, and then really when you do this assignment, you can really begin to get an idea of what your thesis might look like. Okay, so again, this is all towards helping you with your own thesis writing and development. Okay, so that is the list of assignments. Okay, so there's 6 total. Are there any questions about any of those assignments? So all the details are here in the synopsis. So just go download the synopsis. And then if you're not sure about something, look in here in the synopsis, look it up. And then if you're still unclear, you can ask me. Are there any questions now?
Prof?
Yeah.
Yeah, as for the problem statement assignment, is there any format for it, like the font or maybe the size of the font?
Well, you know, not any not any specific specs, but just, you know, the usual, you know, 12 size, you know, because it's only 1 to 2 pages, it should probably just be single spaced. Okay, because it's only 1 to 2 pages.
What about the double spacing? Is it double spacing or
no? Try to use
single spacing.
Yeah, it should be single spacing, and I should have written that.
Yeah,
I apologize for not writing that. Yeah.
All right, no problem. Thank you very much.
They're short assignments, so it's not a lot of text anyway. So, yeah, single spacing. I'll add that. I'll put that on Pucha Blast somewhere just to remind you. Thank you, Ashira, for reminding me.
No problem, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, so it's actually good. I'm glad you mentioned that, because yeah, it's a big difference. A 1-page assignment double space is very different than a 1-page single space. Okay. All right. So course structure. So each week the course will have the first part of the course, as I mentioned before, will be this. I like to call it a research support group. It really should act like a research support group. Okay. So you'll come in and you'll share whatever difficulties, challenges, questions you have. All right. And we'll discuss them as a group. All right. And it's really a troubleshooting session. So whatever is bothering you, whatever you're not understanding, whatever you're having difficulty with, maybe something related to your proposal, whatever, bring it to the group, bring it to the class, and we'll discuss it. Okay. So at least, you know, the first 20 minutes or so, we can do that. The second part of the class will be the presentation. Okay. So the students will present along with my commentary. We'll have Q&A. It'll also be discussion based, right? So students can ask questions as we go. All right. And if possible, please do your best to come and having read the article if possible. All the articles for the week will be posted on Pucha Blast. I think the first 2 or 3 weeks, they're already up on Pucha Blast. You can just download them. All right. And then the third portion of the class, as I mentioned, will be some sort of activity, exercise. We'll do some analysis, group work. You know, it'll be something related to the topic for that week to help, to give you more understanding of that particular topic. All right, so that's the structure of the class. If there's no textbook for this class, but if you want to get one, I recommend Creswell. And I think the latest one is 2016, Qualitative Inquiry and Research Design, Choosing Among 5 Approaches. And I think he's in the 4th edition now. So I do base some of the early portions of the course on his work, Creswell's work, especially on the 5 research designs, the 5 main approaches. And so this is a really good basic text for advanced qualitative students. So if you can get a hold of this book, it'd be, I think, a good textbook for you. All right, so now we get into the course content. All right, so I have it broken down week by week. Okay, and I know there's a very good question before about it looks like a lot of readings. Actually, those are just references for you. These are additional articles that you can. I have these by topic here, and I have all these articles. So if there's any of these articles that you'd like, just for your own reference, maybe to help you write your thesis, whatever, please let me know. I can send you the articles. Now, for the weekly readings, the weekly reading article is the one in bold. Okay, so each week, the first article, the bolded one, that is the one that I will be posting in Pucha Blast. That is the one you will be presenting for that week. Okay. See, it says here very clearly, bolded citation is the weekly reading presented to be presented to the class. Okay, so just follow for the weekly reading. Just follow the bolded one. All right. So this week, tonight, we'll just be doing the course overview and introductions, etc.
And week 2 is next week. So we will be discussing a little bit about research paradigms. And that is just to sort of refresh and go a little bit deeper on the issue of research paradigms, qualitative research. And that one, you can see it's quite an old article, but Guba and Lincoln are kind of gurus in qualitative research. They wrote a very important book called Naturalized Inquiry. What was it? Naturalistic Inquiry. Yeah, very famous book. One of the seminal texts in qualitative research. And so they've been involved in qualitative research for a very long time. And so they wrote this article on competing paradigms. So I like to use this article. It's just a good illustration of the difference between the two paradigms, the two major paradigms, and it helps us to better understand our qualitative paradigm. Okay, and these other ones here are just sort of miscellaneous or sort of extraneous resources. So in case you're interested in any of these other articles, just let me know. Okay, week 3, we'll be getting into the research correlates. Okay, so and the weekly reading for that week is actually one of the chapters from Creswell's book on 5 different approaches to inquiry. Okay, so the introduction of the 5 approaches, which are phenomenology, grounded theory, case study, narrative analysis, and which one am I missing? I'm missing one of them. I can't think of the 5th one. Anyway, there's 5. Okay. And so that week 3, we'll be introducing the 5 different traditions or the 5 different approaches to doing qualitative research. Okay. Now, that's not to mean that there are only 5 approaches. There are actually many more. But these are the 5 major ones, especially in relation to the social sciences, and especially in relation to education. Okay. Since this is a course in effective education, we focus mostly on educational research. All right. So the 5 approaches of Creswell are those that pertain most closely to our field of education. Week 4, we will be extending our discussion on research correlates, and in particular, we will be focusing on one of the correlates, which is phenomenology. All right, so we will be presenting an article that week on a phenomenological research design. So why phenomenology? Why not case study? Why not, ethnography or something? As you can see, there are other articles here that you can have if you'd like, but for the presentation, I only do phenomenology, only because phenomenology is one of the more popular designs that our students use in our faculty. Quite a few students use phenomenological approach. And also by studying phenomenology, you get a better sense of the others as well. I think so. It's a good one to study, a good one to present. But we can, of course, if you have questions about the other traditions, feel free to ask at any time. Okay. Week 5, issues in data gathering. Okay, so that might sound like a strange term. What's data gathering? I thought it was data collection. Yeah. Well, it is. It's called data collection, but in qualitative research, they also refer to it as data gathering. Okay, so because there are scholars that say we don't really collect data in qualitative research. We generate data. So we sort of gather data through our interactions with our participants. All right, so we refer to it as data gathering. And so for that week, we'll be presenting an article, actually an article that we wrote here in UPM and it's more focusing on interview guide development. Okay, so that's one of the topics that we don't talk very much about in the basic class. And it touches on other issues as well. It touches on things like use of theoretical framework. It touches on study design. It touches on research questions, touches on a lot of things. So it's quite a long article, but it will, I think, really help you to understand how you go about developing your interview guide for data collection. All right. And so that will be on week 5. And then week 6, we go into theoretical and conceptual frameworks, because I know this is also a big topic, a big issue among students, how to use theory in qualitative research. A lot of people don't understand it. It's, kind of tricky to understand. So week 6, we will be discussing on the use of theoretical frameworks in qualitative research. Okay, so we'll be addressing this issue of theory and how you use theory in a qualitative study. All right. And I just recently added this topic to the course a couple semesters ago, because every semester I get so many questions about use of theory. Okay. And as you can see here, there's other articles that you can look up online, that you can get online that also deal with this topic. Okay, week 7, we begin talking about data analysis. So the first topic for data analysis is actually preparing for analysis. How do we prepare ourselves as researchers for analysis? So we'll talk about the issue of bias, reflexivity, and representation. Okay, so how do you actually deal with reflexivity in your analysis of data? Okay, so reflexivity is a very important topic within qualitative research. It doesn't get much attention, but it's a principle. It's really a core principle of doing qualitative research. Okay, so we will discuss on reflexivity and analysis that week. Okay, and then week 8, we continue with analysis. This one more on the concrete steps and procedures for doing analysis. And this is where we will be presenting an article on developing a code book, which is related to your assignment 5. Okay. So developing and using a code book for the analysis of interview data, an example from a professional development research project. Okay, so this is a very, very useful article on how we develop a code book for analysis. Okay, so when you do your assignment 5, you can definitely refer to this article and the discussion we're going to have in class, inshallah. Okay, so this is more of the nuts and bolts and the actual concrete conducting the analysis. Week 8. Week 9, we will continue with analysis, but we will be looking more at what we call second level analysis and data saturation. Okay, so I'm sure many of you by now, as graduates of the basic qualitative class, have heard at least of the term of data saturation. Okay, in terms of your sampling, in terms of data analysis. So in week 9, we will be discussing it. And most importantly, we will be discussing about not just the concept of what it is, but how you actually prove it in your thesis. Okay, because a lot of people in their qualitative research studies, they like to just say that, you know, we stopped sampling when we reached saturation point. But oftentimes it stops at that. People don't really explain how they know that they reach saturation. How do you actually display? How do you convince the reader that you've reached saturation? So there are ways to do it, actually. And in that week, we will be looking at that. Okay, because that's a very important topic when you go about presenting your findings. Okay, how do you prove that you've reached saturation point? Okay, and then week 10, we move from analysis to writing up. You know, so how do you go from analysis to actually writing up your findings? And now we start looking at issues of related to writing and presentation of findings and so forth. Okay, so that'll be week 10. Week 11, we're going to have a hands-on in vivo class. And we had this in the basic as well, but for those that were not in the basic, we will be doing some in vivo work. But this time for the advanced class, because you're going to be doing, actually we're going to be doing, hopefully in class, we're going to be doing data analysis manually. What we're going to do is we're going to use this in vivo class to then transfer it to in vivo. So whatever work that we've been doing in the class manually, we're going to then apply it and use in vivo to do it. Okay, so we're going to be practicing with in vivo, but we're going to actually be using our analysis, the analysis examples and exercises that we do in the class. Okay, so this one hopefully will be a bit more applied than the basic class. And then week 12, we will have, I think we'll probably have a data analysis lab. All right, so we'll be doing more data analysis work, hands-on work. All right. Sometimes I have guest lecture, but when we have online class, it's not as interesting as you have when you have a live class to have a guest lecture. So usually for week 12 now, I will just leave it open for further data analysis work. Okay, because data analysis, as I mentioned, is a very important topic that, especially nowadays, a lot of students, you know, their qualitative theses, you know, they make or break their thesis with how well they do their analysis. You know, so you really have to understand data analysis really well. And it's one of the most difficult, complicated aspects of doing a qualitative study, right? So the more practice you can get, the better. So I tried to really devote a lot of time to data analysis. All right. And then week 13, specifically related to your thesis. Okay, so thesis writing. So this is an article on preparing your dissertation or preparing your thesis for writing up your qualitative research. Okay, and then lastly, how do you know if you've done a good quality research study? So at the end of the day, what is the criteria that you use, that you look for when you want to determine whether you yourself have done a good quality study? What are the criteria for high quality in qualitative research? Okay, so that article is related to that. Okay, so and that's it. That's our semester. Those are the topics that will be covered. All right, but again, like I mentioned, this does not mean that you can't, ask questions or have this. We cannot have discussion about other related topics. Any topic you want to discuss is fair game. Okay, but this is the way that the material will be presented in the class. Okay, and after that, it's up to you guys to address whatever content you want. All right, so that's it. That's the synopsis. I think it's fairly informative. So again, if you have any questions about the assignments or the content, first you can refer to this, and then if this is not clear, you can of course follow up with me. All right, but most of it should be here. Okay. Any other questions about anything? I know it's,
yes,
I've covered a lot. It's a lot, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. So does that mean that if, let's say, there are 3 of us who sign up for a weekly reading that day, that means that the presentation will be split among the 3 of us?
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
we're not going to present the same thing, right? Yeah.
No, so you need to coordinate. You need to coordinate. The 3 of you need to get in touch with each other and coordinate how you want to do it. I'm very flexible on how you do it. So for example, you want to break it up 20 minutes each. Maybe one person does all the slides, 2 people present. I mean, it's really up to you. Of course, you don't know a lot of the friends in your class. So in terms of grading, this is, first of all, this reading presentation is not a lot of, it's only 5 points of your assignment. And the idea behind it is not so much the points, it's really, just to stimulate discussion for the class that week. So how you do it, I'm not really that concerned. You can be as flexible as you want, right? And I'll leave it to the 3 of you, okay, to figure out. Most students, they just break it up, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, so if the article is 18 pages, each person takes 6 pages, something like that. So it's really up to you how you do it, okay? But I won't be upset if you decide that 2 people are better presenters, 1 person is better at doing PowerPoint, so you divvy it up that way. I'll let you decide that, okay? So leave you some creativity there, room for creativity. Any other questions? Okay, so I know it's forced, it's like forced marriage, it's forced cooperation, but that's part of learning too, is getting to know other people, especially your fellow students. And in fact, students nowadays don't do that enough. They don't get to know each other enough, like we used to when we were students. So let's just go back. I think I've covered everything in Putra Blast. So yeah, so this is the Putra Blast. So everything's in folders. So you see the synopsis is in the folder. I'll be putting up the class slides here in the folder. Here we have course handouts. So all the exercises and handouts that we'll be doing in the class are all here. Many of these are already uploaded. Some of them are not yet. So don't worry about it if they're not there yet. They will be coming, inshallah. All the class recordings, I will put the links, the YouTube recordings links. The links will be here as well. So later you can go back and just click on those to access the recordings for the class. The assignments are all here. All right, so assignment 2. Here's assignment 3. You can see the interviews are already up. So this is for your interview critique. So you'll be uploading your assignments here. Just click on the link and you can upload the assignments straight onto Putra Blast. Positionality statement. Okay. Now I will be providing, I don't think it's up yet, the link. Oh, it is. Okay. So I have examples here. So for example, positionality statement, of course, we will be discussing it in class, but I've also given you, provided an example here. All right, so that you can see what it looks like, what it sounds like, and so forth. All right, and I think I've also done that with the critique, the dissertation critique. I will also be putting up an example of what a good dissertation critique looks like. Okay, just to give you some idea, of expectation of what is expected for that assignment. All right, so that will be coming later. Okay, so that's the assignments. And then, of course, each week we have our folder. So tonight is week 1. So here's our agenda. So each week, as I mentioned, I won't be putting up the Zoom links anymore, only in the WhatsApp group. But we have our agenda. So the class agenda every week will be here. All right. So we just did the introductions and the course synopsis, course expectations, excuse me, WhatsApp group. Okay, WhatsApp group, and the reading sign up sheet. All right. Now we have to have a brief discussion about what to do during Bulan Puasa, okay, fasting month, Ramadan. Okay, so there are, of course, we have options. There's things we can do. I have never had a class online, at least. Of course, we've had classes during Bulan Puasa before. And for the 4 weeks of fasting month, sometimes we just cut the class a bit short. We make it 2 hours. We just go 2 hours straight. And we start a bit earlier. So for example, if we have class from 5 to 7 for those 4 weeks, as opposed to 6 to 9 during the fasting month. But then again, there may be clashes. People may have classes before that. So I'm not sure. My first choice, but this is open for discussion. My first choice is to have class from 5 to 7, or if possible, even a little bit earlier, like 4:30 to 7. But that's only if everybody is available. If you're not available until 6, then obviously we cannot do that. Another option is to have it at a different time, like in the morning or something. But I know many of you work, so that's often not an option as well. Or we just, we just stick to the time, 6 to 9, okay. But we have a sort of maybe an extra 10 or 15-minute break in between for the students to break their fast, okay. Now, when I was a student and I was taking this class with Prof. Azami, who was my guru in qualitative research, Prof. Azami was a very pious man. For those of you who know Prof. Azami, I don't know if you still know Prof. Azami, but he insisted, even during Bulan Puasa, he insisted that we have class 6 to 9. So what we would do is we would have the class. When Azan came for Maghrib, we would have Buka Puasa together in the class. We would do our Maghrib prayers together, and we would complete the class until 9 o'clock, and then we would do our Tarawih prayers together in the surau in the Jabatan. So he was very dedicated to making sure that we did both. We take care of both our responsibilities. But of course, obviously, we're in an online situation. We can't have Buka Puasa together, so it's not quite the same. And I did that a couple semesters ago when we had class during Ramadan. We had Buka Puasa in the class as well when we were on campus. Okay, so those are really the options. We can either change the time, or we can, just continue, just have an extended break for Buka Puasa. I'm open, I'm flexible. So it's really what the class sort of chooses, what you think. If we have the class, if we start a little bit earlier, is that a clash for anybody? Is that a clash, at least for anybody that's registered for the class? Sit-in students, I'm sorry, but you don't count in this decision. In this decision, I cannot count the sit-in students because I have to prioritize the students that are taking the class for credit when it comes to this issue. Does anybody have a clash if we were to start, say, at 4:30 or 5 o'clock? If you do, please let me know. No, so far I don't hear any no's. That's a good sign. We don't have to decide tonight per se, but we need to start thinking about it because we probably I think week 4 Ramadan starts. Okay, so Shahira, you're working until 5, so yeah, that would be a good reason to keep it 6 to 9. Yeah, so I mean it's natural. A lot of you are working students full time and so forth. So okay, so that's one clash we have. So Shahira, what's the earliest you could get into the class?
I think 5:30. Is that all right?
5:30 is the earliest.
5:30, yeah, after 5. Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Wang also after 5. Okay. After 5. Okay, anyone else? So far we have 2 that have requested to be after 5. All right, we'll just keep a tab of this and we'll keep thinking.
It's okay after 5.
Okay, so if anybody has
okay
any other,
after 5.
Sorry?
It's okay after 5. Maybe we'll start after 5.
Yeah. After 5 means what? 5:05 or 5:30 or 5:45? In qualitative research, you have to be very specific when you're writing. So get in the habit of being very descriptive. Okay, don't say after 5. Say 5:10, 5:15 is pretty good. Okay. Okay, that's why Ashahira, she said 5:30, so that's good. I have some indication of what she means by after 5. All right. Anyway, we'll just keep it on the back burner for now, but we'll make a decision later. 5:30 also can. So 5:30 doesn't help very much, only because it's not much different than 6, and 5:30 to 7 is not enough time. We need at least probably 2 hours at least to get through most of the content of the class. So if it's 5:30, then we might as well just keep it 6 to 9, and we'll just sort of extend our buka puasa a little bit. Maybe 30 or 40 minutes. We'll extend it a little bit. All right, but it looks like most people prefer 6 to 9. So Razia, are you going to buka puasa at Starbucks or macam mana?
Not sure, bro.
Okay. All right. So a lot of people are just saying 6 to 9 and 5:30.
I think 6 to 9 is okay, bro.
Okay, so we will probably just keep it. It looks like just keep it 6 to 9.
I'm still working, yeah.
All right. All right. So tentatively for now, we'll just keep it 6 to 9. And then if something changes before that, we will let you know. All right. So back to our agenda. Okay, so it's 7:15. So let me just okay, so next on the agenda is this very short lecture. It's not even a lecture, just a few slides on attributes of a qualitative researcher. Okay, so before our break, and actually tonight we're going to have a short class. We're going to just break from our break around 7:30, and then we'll say bye-bye for this week. Because the first week I don't like to do too much because inevitably there will be people adding and dropping the class and so forth. So I don't like to cover too much content in the first week, just to give everybody an overview of the course. Let's look at this just to acquaint us with sort of the expectations of what it means to be a qualitative researcher. Okay, and this was actually done by as I mentioned, my guru, Prof. Azimi, who taught me. He taught so many of us qualitative research. He was actually one of the pioneers in Malaysia of the qualitative research method. He was one of the very first in the mid 1980s to really bring qualitative research to academic work in Malaysia. So he was really a pioneer, and he was my PhD supervisor. I took his class, his advanced qualitative research class that he taught. I took it 4 times when I was doing my PhD. So now, why would someone take a class 4 times? Well, qualitative research is the kind of course where you really can't take it once and understand it fully. It is really a lifelong kind of learning discipline. You have to keep learning, keep refreshing, etc. So I just sat in his class 4 times because I really wanted to continue learning more and more about it. And every semester I was learning new things. And every semester I teach this class, I learn new things because I learn from you guys, I learn from my students, but I also learn through teaching. You learn a lot through teaching. So in terms of being a qualitative researcher, it's a very unique type of research, qualitative research. And the qualities of a researcher in qualitative research are different than in quantitative research. All right. An effective researcher in qualitative research is expected to produce thick accounts of what's being studied. What is a thick account? Who can tell me what a thick account is? What does that refer to?
A very rich description. They can tell us a lot of things about what we are studying.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chang. Yes, exactly. Thick accounts, detailed accounts, descriptive accounts. All right. So we don't settle with the class will be held after 5. No, I'm serious. I say that seriously. I mean, I'm joking, but I'm serious. Does that make sense? Really, in qualitative research, we have to be very descriptive of what we are writing about. Okay, when we share stories of people's lives, when we write up our findings, when we describe the things that people go through, we have to really use very descriptive accounts of what we are presenting. So we are expected to produce these kinds of rich, thick accounts of what's being studied, right? Intensive investigation over time. All right. I have a student the other day, he asked me, he's been in the field doing his field work for 1 month. And he kind of alluded to the fact that he felt like he was sort of done with his interviews. And I asked him, I said, you don't really expect to be in the field for just 1 month, do you? 1 month of field work there's no way you can do 1 month of field work only for a PhD thesis, all right, in qualitative research. You need to expect to be in the field for an extended period of time. Now, does that mean 3 months? Does that mean 6 months? There is no specific time frame per se, but it's not going to be a week. It's not going to be a month for sure, all right? Because qualitative research is an intensive type of investigation. It's a type of investigation where you have to be there, right? In most cases, you have to be in the setting, or at least you have to be interacting with the participants on a regular basis, right? So interviews are intensive, right? Field work is intensive, observations are intensive. So it is something that takes place over time, right? That's why some of the studies that we read, like in the field of ethnography, for example, you read about these researchers that go native. They spend 6 months, sometimes 6 years in the field studying these groups, these Aboriginal groups or these different cultural groups. They spend extended periods of time studying these groups because only then can they really understand, for example, all the nuances of a culture, right? You're not going to spend, 2 months trying to understand someone's culture. It takes years to really fully understand a culture. I've been in Malaysia for 20 years and there's many things I still don't understand about Malaysian culture. All right. And the same goes for any culture. You can spend a lot of time there. So you have to expect, that you're going to have to spend time and you're going to be involved in this type of intensive investigation. Okay, use of multiple approaches and resources. You need to be flexible being a qualitative researcher. You need to be open to the fact that you may have to use multiple approaches to collecting data. All right, you may have to make use of multiple resources. You have to be very resourceful as a qualitative researcher. Right? You have to be able to shift gears quickly. Oh, this person is not working out. Okay, I'm going to go find another respondent. I have to look here. I have to contact this person. I have to get through this gatekeeper. I have to, make use of this network. You have to be very resourceful. All right. And you have to be open and willing and able to use multiple approaches. So you have to be trained in how to do interviews. You also have to be trained in how to do observations, how to study documents, how to study social media, for example. All right. So it's not the kind of research where you just get trained in one thing and that's it. If I'm a statistician and I'm doing a quantitative study and I've done my homework on how to do multi-level models, that's all I need to know. I just need to know how to run a multi-level model. Once I do that, I can do my research. I can do my study. Well, qualitative research is not quite like that. We have to be resourceful and we have to be versatile. All right. Corroboration with participants. You need to be comfortable accepting the fact that you may have misinterpreted your own participants' data. You need to be humble enough to go back to them and say, did I get this right? Is this really what you're saying? Am I understanding you correctly? Is this really what you experienced? All right. So you need to be able to have that kind of rapport with your study participants. Okay. And this again gets back to our epistemology of qualitative research. How we know what we know. What do we consider knowledge in qualitative research? Well, it comes about through this corroboration with participants, through interacting with our participants. Okay. So it's a very different type of research than quantitative research. Right. So if I asked you, somebody in the class, whoever, is it acceptable for you to go have lunch with your interviewee or participant after the interview? Razia, what do you think? Because you're on one of 3 screens open on my, so I see you. I don't see anybody else. Zoom only allows me 4 windows open, so
I think it's okay after we done the interview and then we go to the lunch for with the interview because
you think it's okay?
Yeah, I think it's okay because we have to create a good collaboration with them, and then sometimes we have to make a good rapport with them. And then actually for that one, actually we as a interview need friendly with so we can get any extra information maybe.
Okay, all right. So you think it's okay. Anybody else disagree? Anyone disagree with Razia? You think it's not okay to go have lunch with your participant after the interview? Any dissenting opinions from Razia's view? Okay, now I see more people on the screen now. I got a few more up here. Oh, Farahis is here. Oh, that was really neat. Siti Noor, you just looked over like that and you were looking at Farahis after I said Farahis. That was really weird. Okay, anyway.
I'm with Nohayati actually in this room.
Oh,
Prof. We are in a hotel.
Wow, okay. Wow.
Hi, Prof. We are in the same room right now.
I see.
Same as last year.
Good, you have that camaraderie. So you rented a hotel room just for my class? I'm flattered.
Yeah, we are. We don't have internet.
Proper internet connection in our home.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Great.
We are somewhere situated in Besut, Terengganu. So it's a bit unstable internet connection over here.
Oh, wow.
Very rural,
yes.
Prof.
All right. Well, nice of you to join us. Thank you for your commitment and sacrifice. So anybody disagree with Razia? Or you're not sure?
Not sure actually, because like, you know, I feel that what happens to me after I interview is that I need time away from them for a while to jot down my thoughts about what went on during the interview.
Okay.
The second thing is that I struggle within myself because later, like, you know, what if they say something really good, but I can't collect that data because, you know, it's not recorded, and I don't know how to bring that data in for my analysis if I do get it. So I'd rather not, like, you know, put myself in that situation. So I'm not sure. So
Yeah. No, those are very good points, Chang. You raised very good points. So yeah, I asked the question, is it appropriate? But sometimes actually my question may have not been the right question. It's not an issue of whether it's appropriate. It's an issue of, like you said, is it the best use of time, given the fact that you just did the interview, right? And then also, like you said, what if they do say something during over lunch that is really important about, you know, in relation to the study? Now, of course, you can always ask them if you're having lunch and they say something that's really important. You can say, "Oh, do you mind if I include that in the study?" You know, no problem. Just ask them. Okay. So yeah. So those are good. Those are really good points. Okay. So, but yeah, again, I mean, qualitative research, building rapport, this kind of thing is perfectly acceptable in a study. However, there's always issues like maybe you're not comfortable. You don't know, maybe within yourself, you're not sure how you would behave with them. So you may have you may hesitate because of that. That's okay as well. You know, that's part of that's part of the reflexivity aspect of qualitative research. Since you are also the research instrument, maybe you feel, well, I'm not really comfortable in that situation because I'm not really sure, like you said, in terms of data and all that. So it's an individual decision, but there's not necessarily anything wrong per se with it. Whereas if you're doing a quantitative study, hell no, you cannot do that. Okay, you absolutely cannot go have lunch with your participants, with your survey participants, your sample, you know, after you've done the survey. Okay, so totally different. Again, different epistemology. Insightfulness and comprehensiveness of the findings. Okay, so you are expected to draw insights from your findings and present comprehensive findings, not this very superficial kind of, you know, surface level description. You know, that's not what doing a PhD in qualitative research is all about. Okay, so you know this is where a lot of students we fall short a little bit. You know, we don't spend enough time really reflecting on our findings, you know, and going back to the literature and reading up on our findings after we've gotten them, you know, doing that sort of secondary literature review. to really generate new insights and comprehensiveness. Okay, one of my students the other day, she presented her report, her final thesis write-up, and her chapter 4, her findings was 120 pages, just the chapter 4. So yeah, Haslina, your reaction was like my reaction. Oh my God, 120 pages. Now you would assume that that means comprehensive findings, right? Actually, not always. Okay, sometimes the quantity overwhelms the quality. Okay, and in fact, it was actually because of the fact she didn't really, the way she did the analysis was actually not, believe it or not that comprehensive. It was comprehensive in terms of coverage. She had a lot of, in terms of quantity, there's a lot there, but in terms of insightfulness, it wasn't that really in depth. It wasn't that rich, because again, she was sort of compromising quality with quantity. So you cannot do that in quality research. I'd rather have you write 40 pages of really brilliant stuff, insightful stuff, than 120 pages of just a lot of data. And, there really wasn't much, there wasn't all that much there. Okay. So this is another expectation. Careful assessment of evidence and alternative explanations of patterns discovered, being open. Okay. So yeah, this is a really important principle of qualitative research. And as a researcher, you need to be open. You need to be aware of your assumptions. You need to be aware of your biases, and you cannot be tied to them. Okay. You need to be open to what's there in the data. Okay, in terms of attitude, you must have a positive attitude. So you have to work hard. Okay, that's across the board. Whether you're doing quantitative or qualitative study, it doesn't matter. You need to work hard, and it takes initiative. Qualitative researchers tend to be, you have to have a lot of initiative. You have to be, because a lot of it is generated and driven by the researcher. It's decision oriented, so you make decisions as you go, and you often have to take initiative in the middle of the study. If it means you have to change direction in the study, you need to change the way you're doing your sampling, you need to change the way you're collecting your data or something. That's a decision you have to make, and it takes initiative to do that. So you have to be a good decision maker, right? And that's often hard for students. So, don't rely on yourself to do all those things. Get feedback from others, whether it's your supervisory committee or your friends, your colleagues, run your ideas by them and see what they think. Don't try to do everything on your own. It's really hard to be doing it alone. Concordant with values related to research and scholarly excellence. Okay, so you should really be striving for excellence in your work. All right, and make sure you uphold the values of research, the ethics of research. Very important. View your research as an integral part of graduate work, not just a partial requirement. So this, of course, relates to students in programs that are doing more of research as a partial requirement. Now in UPM, technically, if you ever look at a thesis in UPM, it says this thesis in fulfillment, partial fulfillment or requirements was, I forget the wording, partial fulfillment or partial requirement fulfillment. Anyway, it's not seen as the whole because you have to take some courses and so forth. But think of your research really as the culmination of your graduate work. So all the coursework you do, however much you do, whatever other work you do as a graduate student, the culmination of it should really be in the form of your research. So it's really the outcome of your study. So put a lot into it, take it seriously. Okay, have that attitude. Develop effective relationships with faculty. So not just your supervisory committee members. If you take classes with other faculty members, develop relationships with them, learn from them as much as you can, run your ideas by them. It's important to get different opinions on things. Don't rely solely on your supervisors. All right. This is part of a good graduate student experience. All right, is to learn from as many people as you can. Right. And we as faculty members, we learn from you guys. We learn from the students. We learn a lot from our students. Accept the search of knowledge as a commitment. Okay, really be dedicated to the knowledge commitment, the commitment to generating and to discovering new knowledge. All right, so this is very much, I think, in some ways, this is very much more, I don't say more true, but it's very true of qualitative researchers, because qualitative researchers, we tend to be more discovery-oriented, exploratory in our thinking. We tend to be more open to discovering what's new, what's fresh, what's novel, and all that. So you really must maintain that kind of mindset throughout your study. Okay, it'll really help you a lot. Okay, try not to get into that mode where, I know it's hard. A lot of graduate students, I just want to finish. I just want to finish. I just want to finish. Okay, try to avoid that kind of mentality. Okay, because actually that doesn't make it go faster, right? I mean, I've had a lot of experience with students. I myself was a student. A lot of students that had the mentality of, I just want to finish as fast as possible, they rarely do. Okay, they rarely do. And often the ones that are just really committed to their research work, you know, they delve into it fully. They draw great appreciation, and they take a real interest in their research work. They're the ones that usually finish fastest. Okay, so try not to fall into that trap of, you know, I just want to finish as fast as possible. All right, because rarely will you. If you have that attitude, often you won't finish that fast. And this goes without saying, but, you know, developing critical thinking. I think one of the things that good research does is, when you do good research, it does develop your critical thinking, right? And I think it's even more so the case for qualitative researchers, because we have to make a lot of decisions in our studies that give us the sort of practice of developing that critical thinking faculty. Right, so I'm just going to skip this one. This is not that important. Right. In terms of developing your critical thinking, always have that sense of curiosity. You know, as a qualitative researcher, we should always have that sort of, I know nothing. You know, I'm a blank slate. You know, so when you meet your participants for the interviews, for whatever the data collection you're doing, you know, you just want them to fill you up with knowledge about their lives. Okay, and you want to really go in with a very fresh mindset, open-minded. I know nothing here. Okay, you know, sort of bracket all your previous knowledge, experiences, assumptions, put them to the side, and let's just be really curious about what's going on here. You know, that kind of a mindset really helps you to develop your critical thinking. You know, and then just the desire to really want to know. I really want to know. I really want to understand. I'm so curious about, you know, why these people are behaving the way they are. Okay, or why this is happening in the classroom, or whatever it is that you're studying. Okay, so having that sense of curiosity. Reflecting on your assumptions is a critical, really critical thing, part of being a good qualitative researcher. And we really need to do this. We need to do it all the time. What are my assumptions here? You got to keep asking yourself that question. What are my assumptions here? Okay, when I'm designing my study, when I'm developing my proposal, when I'm going to the field, what assumptions do I have? Okay, you really need to develop that ability to really look at yourself critically. Okay, and look at your look at the way that you're going at a particular study. Okay, so really you need to develop your ability to think critically about yourself and your assumptions. Okay, taking evidence into account. So all kinds of evidence we need to take into account in our studies. Okay, so that includes literature, you know, the literature as evidence, whatever other evidence you're collecting for your study. All right. Encourage taking risks. All right. In qualitative research, you can take risks. You know, you can, hey, you know what? I'm going to go interview that person because I think that person might have insight on this topic. Right. And then you go and you interview them. Right. So because of the flexible nature of qualitative research, the sort of emergent design, evolving design, you can take risks and it's perfectly okay. All right. You must be tenacious, be persistent. All right. Don't settle with just the first answer you get. Dig deeper, dig deeper, dig deeper. Okay. So all these things, this is how we develop that critical thinking. Right. Develop clear arguments. All right. So and this is the importance of doing a good problem statement, which is why one of the reasons I give this as an assignment is your problem statement is all about developing an argument, how you develop an argument for why a study needs to be done. So the better you get at developing arguments for your research, of course, that's also helping you to develop your critical thinking. All right. So we need to learn how to develop arguments, not only arguments for our study proposals, but also for our findings to show that they are accurate. Okay, so I'm just going to go for another like maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll call it a night, and you can go for your Margaret prayers for all the Muslims. Okay. This one I'll save for another time. This is actually It's a nice little exercise, but I'll say that for another time. Okay, it's fun, but we'll do it another time. Okay, so other attributes of an effective researcher. Okay, transformative learning. Yes, you should transform as an individual by the time you complete your qualitative research study. In other words, the study itself, the process itself should actually change you. Okay, in all the ways I just mentioned, and then in other ways as well. All right. You should welcome ambiguity. In other words, you need to be open-minded and open to what is not necessarily clear. Okay, so when things get a little bit fuzzy, you're not really sure what to do next, you don't panic. You don't panic. But you're okay with the fact that, you know what, right now, I'm not really sure what I want to do. I'm not sure who I want to interview next. I'm not sure really what my data is saying right now. Okay, you're going to hit periods like that, but you need to understand that's part of the process and you'll get through it. Inshallah, you'll get through it. Okay, so you need to be able to welcome this ambiguity, this lack of clarity at times. Okay, because that's really part of the process. And if you don't understand it as part of the process, you're going to do something that's going to jeopardize the quality of your study. Okay. Reflexivity, we'll discuss reflexivity later in the semester. It's a very important part. So again, understanding your impact on the study as the researcher, right? So how you yourself can impact the study. Cultivating curiosity, as I mentioned before, human-centeredness. Okay, our work is really about understanding people. Qualitative researchers really are engaged in the goal of trying to understand people. Understanding people at a deeper level, appreciating people's experiences, appreciating the meaning that they give to their experiences that explains why they behave the way they do. Okay, so it's very much human-centered. Become a voyeur. A voyeur is an observer. You are a very good observer. You're very good at watching people and gleaning data from people's behaviors and their actions. Okay, that's a voyeur, someone that's, observes other people. Okay, so the next time you're driving to campus or you're on your motorbike or you're in the bus and you're driving to campus, start learning the practice of being a good observer. Instead of daydreaming or thinking about, dinner or thinking about the assignment that you have to do, observe very carefully everything around you. Okay, that's a good way to train your observational skills. Also learn to take good notes. Even though this is the age of recordings and technology and so forth, qualitative researchers really still need to learn how to take good notes. Okay, so again, that's also why we do the class presentations and I don't give you lecture notes because I want you to get in the practice of taking good notes. It's a really important skill. Prepare for long hours. I don't need to say anything more about that. Everybody doing PhD, you have to prepare for long hours. Okay, so let's save reflexivity for a later time because we're going to be discussing it in depth later in the semester. So I'm just going to skip that one. All right. So I'm going to stop there. That's all I have. But just a quick reminder on the attributes of being a good, effective qualitative researcher. Some of the things that we need to be aware of and we need to prepare ourselves for. Okay. Now, lastly, on the Putra Blast, there's one thing here. I have asked you to jot down, as you see here. Number 3, learning objectives. On your own time, after the class, you can do it tonight, you can do it tomorrow, whenever. If you click on the link here, it's going to take you to a this one here. Can you see the, I forgot the name of it. Padlet, sorry, Padlet. The Padlet link. Okay, so some of you I see have already done this. Okay. So you can just press this plus sign here at the bottom, and then you can just write in your learning objectives. So what are your personal learning objectives for the class this semester? I would like to know. Okay, so if you could just go in, click on the link and go into the Padlet here, click on the little plus sign at the bottom corner, and then just share with me some of your personal learning goals. I'd like to know what they are for the semester. Okay, so what do you hope to get out of the semester? What do you hope to be, more familiar with or better prepared, or what you need, what you feel you need more knowledge in what areas? All right, and just jot them down here. So if you could just do that by before the class next week, that would be much appreciated. Okay. All right, so that's for tonight's class. That's all we have. Okay, so we're going to adjourn a little bit early tonight. It's only the first week. I don't want to overwhelm you too much. And then, of course, the first week there's always going to be changes in terms of people who are going in and out of the class. So I don't want to give too much and confuse the people that join later. All right, so are there any final questions or comments before we adjourn for this week? No, nothing? Okay, well, nice meeting you all, at least virtually. Nice virtually meeting you and seeing you again for those of you who are who we've seen before. All right, and so again, just keep looking at the WhatsApp group for updates, any updates or any announcements. And then to prepare for the class next week, everything will be on Putra Blast, okay? And sometimes I update it, Putra Blast, a bit late. You know, sometimes usually 1 or 2 days before the class, I'll go in and make updates to it. So don't expect anything new, you know, until, you know, Monday or Tuesday next week, but it'll all be there before the class, inshallah. Okay? All right? You guys all look like you're stunned.
Okay.
I hope you're not feeling overwhelmed. Don't
Okay,
feel
Doctor.
Okay,
Prof. Thank you, Prof.
nice smiling faces again.
So
okay. All right.
Thank you
so okay, Prof. Still surviving. Don't
Thank
worry.
you.
Nice meeting you all. See you next week. Okay. Inshallah.
See you next week, Prof.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Prof.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prof.
Prof. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
All right. Bye-bye.
Doctor.
See you next week.